Jeff, this is a big week, though. There is a big Royal Rumble this weekend, and we've seen that the Queen, Charlotte Flair, is coming back, and a tag team you're pretty familiar with, the Motor City Machine Guns, are in a 2 out of 3 falls, and one of your first champions from your Global Force days, Cody Rhodes, is going to be wrestling Kevin Owens in a ladder match, and then we've got the men's and the women's Royal Rumble. When you think back on your favorite Rumble moments that don't include you, I mean, I know you've won an Intercontinental Championship and you've been around the Royal Rumble a few times. Is there a favorite Royal Rumble of yours as a fan, or a favorite moment as a fan?
Gosh, I was enthralled, and there was a tweet. I'm dating myself. There was a post. There was a X post. I don't know if you got to see it, but our friend Alan or Cheap Shot that talked about the very first Royal Rumble, and he said this is their proof of concept, and goes out to shout out to him. But there's a lot of validity to, if it doesn't work the first time, if you believe in the concept, keep it on. Conrad, I did a couple of road trips with Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and to hear him tell the story, he won the first one. It made me a fan of the early days of the Royal Rumble and kind of the method behind the madness on the business, that it was opposition. Help me out, Conrad. When opposition of Starrcade? No,
it was up against the Bunkhouse Stampede.
Okay, sorry about that. But just the early years, and I can't say the novelty of it, but just why I think really every fan in TNA, we called them Gauntlet for the Gold and put a little different twist on the end of it. But that anticipation of the clock and countdown is such an exciting time, because drilling into the DNA of television wrestling, music and entrances are the highest rated segments, highest rated minutes, period. We can kind of stop there. It's always outraged just about anything. You would think it would be the wrestling. It's not. But so the Royal Rumble or the Gauntlet for the Gold, they're all kind of filled with those minutes. And man, I think one of the coolest spots that I thought was dramatic and kind of, in a lot of ways, perfect for the whole event was the 95 Tampa Royal Rumble, when Shawn, Davey Boy, when they did the he didn't touch, and then the timing of it, and just all that kind of stuff. I thought that was pretty cool. And then, every year during the Attitude Era, the kind of the Austin Rock vibe, there was a lot of, give me a hell yeah, this guy's going to go through 29 other competitors. Cena, same kind of mindset. But anyway, the quick eliminations, bushwhackers, I think will always kind of have that at the very top. They made that highly entertaining. I don't know. It's just, the concept is great. TK, AEW would do the Casino Gauntlet, and I think that has a completely another twist on it. So the psychology is you want to get in early, because if you draw a late number, you may not even get into the match. Anyway, I love the concept. It's great for TV and great for chatter. And I know there's a few folks out there that do drinking games with it, Connie.
Well, I'm looking forward to playing a game. We have, you got to see one of these one day, Jeff. Efren has a fantastic game, man, where somebody might have a chance to win WrestleMania tickets.
Crazy.
So much, listen, the Battle Royal overall, I think most of us listening to this would agree, hey, it was a good idea once upon a time, but it just kind of sucks now. Like, there's not a lot of great Battle Royal moments, but the anticipation of the countdown and all that for the Royal Rumble, it makes it appointment television viewing. Like, I've got some lapsed fans in my life will say, and I hear from them twice a year. Hey man, are you getting the Royal Rumble? Hey man, are you getting WrestleMania? Now, with it all being on streaming devices, that's not as much as it used to be, but I used to have friends in my life who they'd watch 2 wrestling shows a year, Jeff, the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania.
And they'd show up at 3 times a year, Memorial Day, Labor Day, and July 4th at the pool party. But that's another.
Yeah, there you go. That's another story. Yeah. I'm excited about the Royal Rumble. And what I find most intriguing about this is this past weekend, they did a Saturday night's main event. This was their second one. And there's lots of speculation and rumor and innuendo about Hulk Hogan coming out of that. I don't know why it's a big deal that the guy wanted to go to his son's wedding, but whatever. I do want to ask you though, did you get a chance to see any of Saturday night's main event? And what did you think?
So the Vols played. My UT Vols were on Auburn. I was not at Collision in Jacksonville. Collision was on. Saturday night's main event was on. And there was a fourth. What basketball game was on? Because I was watching two basketball games. So a phone, an iPad, and two TVs kind of going back and forth. But yes, I did. You know, the nostalgia that they're mixing in there. Obviously, it's right up not just My World and What Happened When and JR and everything that goes with that, Free Families, but it's kind of talking to my old music buddies here in Nashville through the holidays. I think I've mentioned this, just how not just hot, red hot nostalgia really is. And it's not for that older demo. The younger generation, college kids in the late, mid to late 20s, they're into music, they're into TV shows, they're into, I call it nostalgia. I think there's a better term to it, but yeah, Connie, I was watching it. What do you want to chat about on SNME?
Well, I wanted to see if you saw the contract signing between Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens.
I seriously, I don't want to say devastated, but shocked, in awe, maybe disgusted. I mean, in a way, I think somebody infiltrated creative. Let me ask you something, Conrad, before we go any further, and we may want to just drop this entire segment. And you know what? You may end up wanting to edit this out, but how long has Shawn Michaels been retired?
I don't know, man. He's 59 years old.
What?
Yeah, he's 59 and he's super kicking the pseudo world champion, the main event of Royal Rumble, and they made him, I mean, how will we recover?
Well, I knew my eyes weren't lying to me because, like I said, I had two ball games on and an iPad and a phone. And with the technology, I got to rewind it. And I was just like, I said, Cody, get in here. And then I asked Karen, and my eyes didn't lie to me. So let me ask you, do you think, because it's all about the bottom line, do you think Endeavor stock's going to drop today?
I mean, it's got to be at an all-time low. I mean, I don't know what's happening, but
he's 59, you just said. I didn't realize that.
He's 59 years old, and he's super kicking the guy who's up against, he's wrestling for the world title in just a handful of days. And I don't think he's coming out of retirement.
And that match is for a belt.
That match is for the richest prize in all of pro wrestling.
Yeah. Wow.
The Royal Rumble is the match that everybody looks forward to, but that's to see who gets the shot to wrestle for the world title. And Kevin Owens already has that. And they're promoting a ladder match. And a 59-year-old super kicked a guy. And I'll be damned, I didn't see very much outrage online. And I said to myself, why when Jeff Jarrett comes out and says, as a professional wrestler in a wrestling league, wink, wink, I signed my last contract to wrestle. And during this last year, my mission as a competitive athlete in wrestling, wink, wink, is to win the world title. And people were like, well, that's fucking stupid. He's too old. How could they ever? Meanwhile, on the other channel, you didn't beat up the champion. You didn't leave the champion laying. But on the other channel, a guy who's not going to wrestle, he's not coming out of retirement and wrestling. Like, he's 59. And he's beating the guy and leaving him laying.
Well, I'm just glad Cody wasn't in the ring. I mean, Cody didn't witness it. Oh, wait. He was in the ring, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
But there's no outrage. I just think it is so hilarious that there is such a strong, not just anti-AEW bias, but I mean within the AEW fan base, there's such an anti-Jeff Jarrett bias. And by inside the AEW fan base, anti-Jeff Jarrett bias, I mean there are a handful of reporters who are big-time AEW fans who had a huge problem with you saying that I just don't get it, Jeff. Like, if wrestling was, then wouldn't every wrestler's goal be to win matches and win titles? Like, Lord bless them. The Jacksonville Jaguars are not in the Super Bowl this year, but their new head coach, isn't he supposed to say, my goal is to win the Super Bowl? What are we doing, Jeff? I don't understand it. And then to have these same reporters come out and say, the NFL has no plans for the Jaguars to win the Super Bowl. Well, no fucking shit. What are we talking about? The whole thing I just don't get, Jeff. Like, isn't wrestling more fun when we have the suspension of disbelief? Isn't it cool to just see Shawn Michaels super kick Kevin Owens and wonder where's the story going? Why do we have to break down every fucking kernel of this thing? Can't we just enjoy the story, Jeff?
Well, look, and I have learned through the years, I love it. I love the chatter. I love the journalists. I love the reporters. As long as you're talking about it, it's all positive. A lot of people may disagree with that and this and that and the narrative and the Conrad. I mean, it goes on and on. But I just chuckle. And when I was reading the research today or this morning and kind of going through it, and we'll get to the topic in a minute because the core of our industry will be discussed today. But I could not help but think one of my kind of favorite chuckles through the whole thing that this is the one thing that, look, they're going to learn when they want to learn, or they won't learn, or they're going to comment, whatever it may be. But hey, he's talking about, and that he is Jeff. So Jeff is talking about a belt that he will never, ever win. That's in their mindset. Okay. So if we're going to take that on kind of face value, I go back to the car rides early in my career to really kind of pick the brains of not just my father, but Lawler and Dundee. And then one night, Wahoo McDaniel was in the car. And honest to God, I've never seen at this age a guy drink as much vodka on a 180-mile trip. But Wahoo, Tommy Rich back in the day, I could go through kind of a laundry list of guys that came in. Savage was a part of those car rides, and he would kind of tell stories because he was opposition time. But the core was it, and I would always kind of lean into what my how my father, in a lot of ways, built the territory, which was super successful, and the break off and all that. But he built the territory with a red hot, unbelievable talent, heel or babyface. To me, I think Lawler is just he's up there for me in I'll call it territory wrestlers, but just the mainstay. Lawler's entire success was built on the fact of quest for the gold. He was going, and he went out on Memphis TV and said, I am going to win the NWA title. And I'm going to win that title. And the way I'm going to do it is get the Southern title. Because if I'm not the Southern title, when we get a date on the World Heavyweight Champion, blah, 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 blah. So the whole premise of his entire career for multiple years, in a lot of ways in his wrestling prime, was built. And he knew he was never going to be world champion. He was going to be Funk or Briscoe or Flair or Dusty, or Lawler wasn't in that conversation, although my dad wanted, but he knew that was never going to happen. The entire premise of Saturday morning, the highest rated wrestling show from coast to coast on a territory basis, was Memphis. And it was built on a belt that Lawler was never going to win. How dare them? It's just crazy, Conrad. It is so silly, but it's fun. Let them keep chatter. It's all good.